Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Board Gaming Doctor. My name is Phil, and I'll be your Board Game Doctor today. We are in the middle of the campaign for Agricola Special Edition, as published by Awaken Realms. So, first off the bat, I wanted to talk about, and I'm not going to bury the lead. I am backing this project as well as many other people, but I did want to address why, especially in light of the low ratings that are here on the Board Game Geek page, and to talk about some of the comparisons to other big editions of Agricola that have recently been released, namely the Agricola 15 box. So, let's break this down with what we know so far. So, the Agricola Special Edition um, here's the game found page, right? We know that this game is going to have a lot of components added to it, namely all of the cards, new artwork, a new expansion, etc. So let's break down some of these first, right? So the irrigation expansion is going to be a brand new expansion that adds, uh, I guess, the mechanism of irrigation. I guess that picture doesn't show it, but I have seen, and hopefully, as was mentioned before, the expansion will be playable on Board Game Arena to test out. And if that does become a reality, I will show that on the channel because I am very excited to see what that will look like. So, there are a couple of ways that you can support this. Um, this new special edition. You can go for the basically the core or the basic edition or the special edition, right? The standard edition includes everything that you see here, including all the cards and the Farmers of the Moor expansion, which is pretty big, as well as the stretch goals. And the resources are going to be cardboard based, whereas the special edition has the game in or the resources rather, in a more wooden format, the wooden edition here. So the thing that I also appreciate from this campaign is the fact that you can upgrade some of the parts to a more 3D miniature version. This family farm pledge, this is the one that I did. Being straightforward, I think it would be fun to have the family pieces as well as the animals and fences be three-dimensional, as they, uh, I think the three-dimensional aspect is more representative there than it might be with the um, resources. But I think that is pretty cool. There is also a separate pledge here. Let's go to the add-ons just to see. You can also get some of those resources in acrylics, specifically the fields, the houses, and the water that you would use for the irrigation expansion. You also have some opportunities to add on some new things that were not previously known. For example, the game All Creatures Big and Small. This is the two-player version of Agricola that was released years after. And you can play this game, obtain this game as a special edition. I added. I'm not going to. I think this is really awesome, though, to have this. And do note that it is the big box edition, so all the expansions are going to be included in that, which is awesome. You have play mats that you can add on, sleeves for your cards, an art book. Uh, these are the 3D resources for miniatures that you can add on as well. Uh, Looks like Secret 3D Minis expansion. That, yeah, we'll see what that turns out to be. The 5th and 6th player expansion as well. For those who don't know, this expansion does include some cards as well for the 5th and 6th player. So if you are a completionist, then this technically would give you some additional cards that there are probably not going to be a part of the base game and all of the base game expansions that are released for that. So I did add this on as a completionist myself, and so I'm excited to see that as well. Miniatures for those, and yeah. So when it comes to, and let's take a look. So this is the first comparison that I wanted to make to the Agricola 15. So if we come over to, let's see, the content here, yeah. So yeah, once again, everything that you get here going to the existing expansions, right? So Farmers of the Moor, the only big box expansion for this game, aside from the new irrigation one, that includes all of these nice resources, new cards, and everything as well. And then you've got all of the revised edition cards from the base EIK deck from Agricola base game. The Epitherius deck that was recently released. It's the I believe a lot of these cards were based off of the Gamers deck, if I'm not mistaken. However, um, I mean, you look at all of these older decks too, things that are more promotional in nature, a little bit more wacky, perhaps not as competitive. You do have other competitive decks too, like the Gamers deck. I think the French deck, the France deck was probably, yeah, it was one of those decks that was very balanced, right, or competitive back in the day. The Z deck, yeah. So and then all of the promotional cards as well. So when we look over to Agricola 15, here's the Board Game Geek page, and what Lookout says specifically about what's in this box, right? So you do get the event cards. You have approximately 900 cards, which includes the let's see, the A and B deck, I believe, as well as some of the L cards as well, and that's it. So this has room for the 5th and 6th player expansion as well as Farmers of the Moor. However, and I think or it might not be there. Oh yeah, so it has room for all of the revised edition content, but it does not have room, or at least not explicit room, for all of the cards previous to the revised edition that is being brought back with the special edition, right? So I've heard mixed feelings as well about the inserts and the sorting trays for this big box, and so those were the major hesitations that I had when this came out back a couple of years ago. I was very interested in having uh, a solution or a storage solution for my favorite game of all time. However, I, one, had all of the decks that were provided in this, but two, it did not have some of the cards. I wasn't even interested in all the older cards because I didn't know how compatible they would be with the newest set. But I was missing a couple of the other decks that were released, like the C and the D deck, and so this not being able to provide that for myself was a bit of a letdown for me, and it was for a lot of people who already had all the content anyway. And that's where we get to the special edition as well. So not only, I mean, yes, I will technically have repeats of the revised edition expansion decks. However, everything here comes out with new artwork. And that has been a big contention for this new edition, and why people are not rating this game as high. A lot of people are put off by the fact that there is AI art. Now, for me, I mean, I see the reasoning why AI art would be detrimental to real artists who work on projects for board games and otherwise. And and that if that's stealing work from artists now, then that probably isn't good. However, in this particular edition, I don't think I minded as much because there are over 1,500, 1,600 cards that are being reprinted for this special edition. And so even if all of that was AI generated, I don't think I would personally mind, because while I do have the revised edition cards myself, I wouldn't feel as bad having duplicates of these cards because they look different, right? And so, take that for what it's worth. But I've seen a lot of comments saying that this special edition, I mean, if you are competitive, for example, with this game, you're probably nowadays, especially if you play on Board Game Arena, not going to be playing with any other decks other than these first sets, right? And the Epipharius deck. The rest of these are older and perhaps obsolete in the direction that Agricola is being taken. And that does matter to me because I do want to approach Agricola from a more competitive standpoint. However, this is my favorite game, and I think a lot of people who enjoy this game a lot feel the same way as well. And I did not have an opportunity to play this game until right before the pandemic hit, right before 2020. And so all of these decks were already out of print by the time I was made aware of what Agricola is. And so for those of us who are being introduced or have recently only been playing Agricola, especially with only having the revised edition be available for us, I think this is an excellent opportunity to at least have in our collections, or have the opportunity to have these cards in our collections for the first time in a long time. Now, I if you did want to back this game for just the cards essentially, and some of the decks that are older, I mean it's $80 euro or €80 for that and just the cardboard um, components. You don't have to upgrade to a lot of these, but I did want to do that myself. I was just really excited to um, have a really cool looking product myself, and this comes at a point of time where I personally don't feel bad doing this as kind of a present to myself, uh, but I do see the point of view from those who may be put off by the art or just by the sheer amount of these cards, some of them duplicated from what is already available. um, I totally get it, and it's not for everyone. But even if you love this game, it's probably a product that wouldn't be, it doesn't look the kind of way that you'd want to, or it's something that you wouldn't be, pulling off of your shelf anytime soon. And so I guess I admit that I am looking at this from a collector's point of view, something that I want to have on my shelf and want to play as well. I think I would pull this one out when I do have folks over, and I have other my revised and my original edition. The original edition of Agricola was the first game that first board game that I purchased from someone online, like through Facebook, right? And so that it's what started it all and really got me started with the hobby and with this channel, essentially, and for my love of Rosenberg games. And so I think that is so the way that this looks doesn't put me off enough to hinder me from backing this. And the collector portion of me as well is very interested in collecting all of these, as well as a lot of these stretch goals, right? And so we I don't know much about what these are, but these are like little packs of cards that maybe are like minors or occupations that are new and focused towards um, this release. And so, the more cards, the better, right? Um, we do have the new expansion as well that is a part of this. I did some looking into, like, for example, if the special edition and the irrigation expansion would be available as a retail product, right? And I don't get the sense that they would be, if I'm basing this off of like how they approached the castles of Burgundy and Puerto Rico, which were the previous reimaginings of these games. And so I don't know if this will be available or not. And so I guess that's added pressure to support this campaign, is to have the opportunity to play this new expansion. And but this would be available on Board Game Arena if that is uh, a location that you would want to play this game anyway. So it's more of a focus if you want to play this in person. And so, and then also having the opportunity for new artwork and a new version of All Creatures Big and Small is pretty awesome as well. So, yeah, so I think there are some pretty cool highlights in this campaign as well. And so I'm excited to see what this all looks like, and I'm sticking with with what I backed and at the level that I backed it at, and hopefully everything, fingers crossed, goes through well, and that we are able to get a product that looks great. I know not everyone's going to be happy, but I will be happy to hopefully at least have all of the cards that have been released, and just to have in my collection, which I think is something that is important to me as a nod towards my favorite game of all time. So, uh, pricing wise as well, just to compare, right? If you were just to back this once again at the standard edition with just cardboard pieces, I think this is still cheaper than it would be to purchase Agricola 15. Um, right now, that's about $140. It's probably less if you're just buying the box, but if you're buying the content in the box, it's still like 140. And so I think, I mean, not including that and shipping costs, but that's pretty cheap if you are just going for this special edition and grabbing the stretch goals, which would include the new expansion as well as all of the decks past made in this game. So we'll see how big this box is and how the storage solution is handled, but I'm assuming that it's going to be all inclusive and manageable if track records hold true with how the other editions of games are packaged and prepared and stored. So super excited for this, and if I learn any more information, and once again, if I have the chance to play the new expansion and explain the mechanisms there before this campaign is done, then I think that will be a great opportunity to look into that as well. But other than that, I'll leave it at there, and let me know if you have good or bad thoughts about this special edition and what your plans are for backing it or not. Thank you for listening or watching this video, and hope you schedule an appointment with me real soon.